March 28th, 2023. Let the record reflect that all supervisors are present at roll call with the exception of Supervisor Brady, unless he has joined us by conference call.
Chris, are you on the phone?
Yes, good morning.
Morning, Chris.
Okay, they're all present.
Okay. We need a motion to accept Chris on the phone as a...
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Chris, you're legal. Okay. We're all here. Public comments, you have a limit of 5 minutes. I know we have a couple gentlemen that would like to speak. You're next, John. Bob's first. Bob asked first.
Bob Shelber.
You want to come over here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please, Bob, thank you. Bob, could you spell your last name for us, please?
Schober, Shelber.
Okay.
My wife Lisa. We're here because of something going on. We live on Stratham Loop, and there's a loud noise off and on, but it's been pretty constant the last few nights. Coming from the pond area, and I thought it was the pump house, drove down. It's not the pump house. We've driven around. It's right behind my house, and it's so loud. It's from 10 at night to about 7 to 8 in the morning. And I don't know if anybody's complaining about it, but I can't imagine why nobody else has heard it. But that's why I'm here, just to find out if John knows, possible.
Oh, what's your address?
11433 Stratham.
11433.
Stratham Loop.
Now,
And it's loud. Here, she has it recorded if you want to hear it.
how long does it last for?
8 hours?
Hours. Okay, so I was thinking maybe a head could be hitting your back.
No.
Where are you at related to the
I'm
pond?
on the pond side.
So you're on the pond
There's a
side?
third house down on the right off of the main street.
In fact, if you walk out our back door and go about, I don't know, 100 feet, there's Stony Brook Drive over. There it is.
Yeah, over to the right.
John, can we check it out?
It's so loud, I mean, you can hear it from the front house, but not as loud, but if you go in the back, it's loud, and I thought it was the pump house. I thought maybe something was going on.
Yeah.
So we drove down there and got out of the car, and it's not near as loud, so we circled around, and you don't hear, but it's right around my house, and I don't understand what it is.
Because the pump house is loud when it's running. I've noticed that coming in the morning.
Yeah, but it has a whining noise when it's not running.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's one of the new fountains that were installed, but they're not even that far down to the...
No, I see the fountain all day, you know.
Okay.
Can you bring that closer? Yeah,
Sorry, it's loud, that's why we're here.
In the end, it does like a vibrating too.
That's from our lanai. I think she didn't have that up all the way.
Sounds like toad.
No, it's
Yeah, but when you're there, it's not,
vibrating at the end.
That sounds like a frog at the end, or like a squeak.
Well, that was.
it's the largest frog I ever heard of.
I'll come out and take a look today. Right, but just kind of get a visual, see what's around, maybe I can pick up on something.
Yeah,
So you're saying like at 10 o'clock at night?
yeah.
We're watching TV, and we actually have to turn the TV off.
And it's tough going to bed, honest to God, it's just, thank God I
Well,
have a sleep pattern.
if I can get Kenny to stay awake that late, maybe we'll come over, and I'll let you know if we're going to walk in your backyard. Okay.
All right. Well,
Thank you. Okay, we have John Detterback. Okay, well, we can share. John, you're on Pembroke. John is one of the new members of the HOA board.
This is, what I have here is just a concept that I'd like to bring to your attention. About a month ago, you were doing repair work on number 4 on the bridge, and you had an individual out there manually beating the pegs back in, and he would have to stop when the golfers came, and it was less than productive. And in light of the fact that you're looking at considering replacing the bridges, I'm trying to introduce an idea that we use in the industry that I'm in, and we make insertable tooling. And I looked at it from a standpoint, could you design the bridge up in such a fashion that you'd be able to have a insertable unit that when you had damage to the bridge or it came to age that you needed to replace it, that you could simply have a section of bridge that could be prefab, you could have it built inside at times where you just have stuff that you have nothing to do and you have to have your people, find something to keep them busy because it's raining. This would be able to be put in, depending on how big it is, you could either put it in with two individuals, or you've got the use of a front-end loader that you'd be able to actually lower it in if you went with bigger sections. The reason why I bring it up now is if you're going to start looking at getting the bridges quoted for 26, this is something you'd want to consider now, and it may prove to be a bit more costly at the front end of this, but the long-term savings should be there. And it's just something that, I know in our industry that we've gone from building individual tools, as you can see on the third page in here, where we have inserts that are made out of, in our case, solid carbide, that can just be plugged in and played. And this would save you the time that you would be able to do a bridge repair in a matter of minutes as opposed to days and keep play up and everything else.
What's the composite material? What would the material be?
Yeah, in this case, I had treated material that I gave you numbers on page 6. Depending if, and this was just a 4-unit piece. If you use 6 by 6, you're talking only roughly 35 pounds of material. If you're 6 by 8s, you'd be up at 45, 46 pounds for that component of it. So, as you would get, if you're using bigger material, you may have to consider using a tractor. But I think in the long run, it would save you an immense amount of time to be able to move forward to do the repair work. It would bolt in, bolt out, quick and orderly, and you'd be in and out very quickly. But I just, looking at it from, there's some advantages I listed on the last page for you. I know you have a long agenda, but I wanted to bring it up early enough so that you had time to think about it and talk to whoever you're looking to do the quotes on this. And if there's any additional information that I could provide, I'd be happy to.
A sample of the material?
Well, not the material. The material is just going to be whatever you're going to make it out of. The idea is to build the units that replace what is on there. So once they build it with these units, now if something wears out, you take that unit out instead of the work that was being done on 4, where you were doing individual boards. You would have a section of 4 or 5 of them. You'd be able to just take one out with straps, drop one in, you're all set, you're ready to go. So just a consideration.
That's good, because one of the things we'll be talking about is, and Phil and John and Jeff have gone out around the golf course looking at different things that we'll be doing for that. So this is really good. We can give us something to look at. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's like the last round.
Come on up. Hi.
First of all, I apologize for my voice. I'm losing my voice. So, my name is Kathleen Weber, 21277 Weymouth Run. I live right across from the community center. And I had sent an email to the board on May the 31st of last year. It's in regard to the one tree right by the back gate. I don't know what kind of trees they are. The big ones, not the palm trees, the big ones.
Kathleen, I did
Yes.
discuss it with John. So if you
Yes.
want to save your voice, John, that's the tree we went out and looked at.
Yes,
If you
well,
want to
this,
discuss.
yeah, this time of year, this is why I'm like anxious about this, because I tried to do this last year. It's hanging over my lanai. It buds in the spring, yellow buds. My lanai is covered, my pool is covered. I'm cleaning the pool for like 2 months after it buds. So I just wanted to know if it would be able to be cut back.
We can't, I've had to come back once for you, we had to come,
That was 5 years ago.
no, it was actually last year when we had them coming in here, I had them come in and trim some. The problem is we can, it's not on, hanging on over the lanai. There's about an 8-foot gap, but I don't know if it's gonna make a difference. Even trimming like a straight line, it's gonna make it look kind of silly, but we'd have to call someone in to do that because we can't get that high.
I know.
All our guys.
I know.
And if the board's, willing to do that, then absolutely, I'll have somebody come in and put.
Well, if you look at it from the side, it's like right by my lanai. As soon as the wind blows, forget it. It's in my pool.
And is it, is this something we'd have to do yearly for you just to keep these off
Well,
your
not
lanai? You know what I mean? This is like
necessarily, no.
more, if your house is close to this whole run of trees, and I just,
Well,
that's a decision for the board to make.
I've been here for 12 years, and it's just within the last couple years that it's been this way. So it hasn't been this way since I bought the house. So,
The problem's going to be, Kathleen, even if we trim that, the wind's still going to blow it towards your house. And, it's something that the board has to determine.
I have no issue with having somebody come here and take it, but we can't personally by law get that high.
right.
We've had this discussion with Phil and I about how high we can get off the ground per OSHA requirements without a special insurance on our guys, training, licensing, which we do not have. I say it's 8 feet, Phil says, what, 10? 12, but either way, that's not high enough where we need to get for those.
So John, we'll have to discuss this as a board, because that's setting a precedent, because everybody's going to want trees trimmed down around their property because the oak leaves are on their property, or the wind is blowing this, and we had that issue several years ago with the people on, what's Mike Street? Sheridan, where they wanted us to cut the tree down because the wind was blowing leaves into their pool. I understand, we'll see what we can do, but we can't set a precedent of cutting trees down just because the leaves or the pollen is flowing into the...
Well, I'm just asking for a trim. I know it's high, but, some trim would benefit.
Okay, we'll see how we do when we start trimming trees, John.
John, the residents have the ability to trim any limbs hanging over onto their property, correct?
Yes, Chuck, that's right to protect your property.
Yeah.
Yes.
They can trim back to the property line, provided they don't damage or kill the tree. Then they're liable for the
And
replacement tree.
they have an odd-shaped lot.
Yeah.
One of the most unique is very kind of catty corner. But that tree's definitely on our property.
The
If
limbs
it's
are on
hanging
our
over
property.
onto theirs, I guess
We'd have to look. If the
Have to
limbs
look
are
at
hanging
that.
over on their property, they have the right to trim it, they have the right to trim it to their property line. So, and again, we need to do this because I can't set a precedent of trimming trees around everybody's house, because ultimately, that's what will happen. So let's take a look at the property line, see if the limbs are over your property line. If they are, then you have the right to have someone come in and trim them to your property line. We've done the same thing with the gentleman on Wyndham, John.
I'm sorry?
We did the same with the gentleman on
Yes.
Wyndham with the roots. So, all right, so if you can see where your property line is, and, let's figure that out.
Well, how do I determine, it's, where the guys cut from the,
Straight line, straight up.
The best to get a visual on it that we use is LIPA. They have a GIS, like a map, and then it'll show the property lines, even though they're kind of offset. That's the best, other than calling a surveyor out here. That's going to cost you.
And if you have your deed, original deed, it'll show you the...
Yes, if you have a map, your original deed, correct.
Yeah, it'll show you the distance from the corner of your...
Give you measurements, actual measurements, and that's not on that GIS. It's a satellite map, and it has the property lines overlaid on it. But even so, they're kind of offset. If you look at it, you'll see all this should probably shift over a little bit, so it's not a definite, it's just kind of a visual.
So if you could look at that and see where that might be, and then we'll see what we can find, and.
Yeah, I'll make a note. Now, I'll even look on the GIS for you. But as far as the deed, some of these...
That would be the best way to look at it.
Well, Madam Chair, what I would suggest, two things. One is the plat of the lot.
That's what I'm saying, is in the
If you
deed.
go to the recorded plat in the Lee County Clerk's office, find your lot and block by which you look at your property description, you'll see the measurements, the corners. And my concern from the Depot website, sometimes it's 3 to 4 feet off.
Right.
I mean, horizontally. And so, I mean, by way of example, one of the properties that's at issue today, that people may have replaced cypress trees with palm trees, it shows a district parcel running through their pool. So, I mean, and that's not the case. So you have to take that with a grain of salt, so,
Yes, so go to the recorded plat, and that's public information.
yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Do we have any other resident comments? Come on up. Can I have your name, please?
It's John Kritz, and I'm at 21703 Wyndham Run. I think I might be the gentleman with the roots you just mentioned.
Okay.
I got an email from Chuck saying that this replacement of the cypress trees that are, the roots are invading, that John came out to see a few months ago, that's possible as long as we replace it one for one with some of these other trees that Chuck had sent, and that you guys were in agreement, so thank you for that. I guess I'm just looking for clarification because I want to do it the right way, and I'm not sure exactly what happens next.
Okay.
So it says here, the board's in agreement, this is the email from Chuck, the board's in agreement as long as the expense is covered by the requesting party. And then he said, additionally, I would check with the association to see if they require review and approval.
You have to go through the ARC.
Okay, I'm sorry?
You will have to submit a request to the ARC.
Oh, okay. And then if that's the next step, then is there a way for me to kind of expedite the process this, because the roots are just getting worse and worse and invading the irrigation and other, the lawn and stuff? Is there a way to expedite it once they approve it, or do I have to is there a point person to talk to so I can just, contact one person and make sure?
I would suggest that, since we're okay with it, once the ARC is, if you could just email the CDD email and just let them know that the ARC has approved it and you're going to start with the process, just so that we are aware before the next meeting that this is what you're going to be doing.
Okay, and then just real quickly, is it, so like 3 trees are on my property, I'm pretty sure 2 or 1 on each neighbor's. It's hard to tell from the,
Yeah.
the information. I talked to both neighbors and they said they're fine with having them cut down. Would that be something we pay for then, even though they're in like the easement area?
Yes.
So we pay to have them cut down?
The whole process is paid for by the homeowners.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, the trees remain.
Okay, that's fine, that clarifies that. And then, would we have a certain gap time in there, because I need to get a company to remove all those roots?
2 days. I'm only kidding.
I can do it in 3.
Okay. The only other thing I would say is if 2 of those trees are on your neighbor's property, they will also have to file an ARC.
Oh, they will too?
Absolutely, because it is affecting their property as well.
Okay.
And you can do it all as a group, and I'm sure they'll look at it as a group.
Okay, that's fine, because they were in agreement to do it.
Okay.
And we don't mind paying for their trees to do, we just need to.
Okay, but since it's their property.
Yeah, they have to file.
They have to file them as
Gotcha.
well.
Okay, and then with regard to replanting them, and is that something that we have to also have approved as far as the height of the trees? And the Chuck gave us a bunch of types, so it's not the type, it's just the...
I don't think we have a height requirement.
No, I don't.
No, as long as it's one of those trees, it's approved.
Okay. So the first step is request it from the ARC, get the neighbors on board, and then just start...
Just notify the CDD through their email, the CDD email, and Chris Brady will get that, and just so that we know you're starting it, and so that if someone else says, oh, he's cutting trees down,
You
we'll
know.
know.
Actually, just reply to the email I sent you
Oh, okay.
with a copy of their approval.
This latest one, Chuck? Okay.
Okay.
And then as far as like who, the contractors and all that, that's up to us?
That's up to you as long as they're bonded and insured, and that's something that the HOA will request of you in your thing of who's doing
Oh,
it to
okay.
make sure.
And then we can just proceed from there? Okay.
Just let Chuck know that we're doing, just so that we know, so if there is a complaint, we're on board.
Yeah, of course, of course. All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Residents? Okay. Staff reports. John?
All right. I got a lot going on for you guys today, but I'll try to make it simple. First, I have a question for Chuck. Chuck, I looked at the plats on the GIS, and I'm pretty sure that those are non-golf course parcels that we did the hurricane cleanup on.
I have no idea.
No, but because all I remember is from when we did work with Dave Robson and Johnson Engineering, is when he would always bring plans like, you know, the golf course are G plats, they're G lots, and CDDs are Bs or Cs are different depending on what they are. And I went back and looked, and it doesn't say, and the only reason I'm saying this is because it's hitting the golf course financials right now, the cleanup and stuff. And I just wanted to make sure at the end of the year, you know, we got time, that it just was in the right spot. But I don't think those are golf course tracks on any of them.
You're talking about the cypress trees and all that?
Yes, we took out the
removal?
ficuses, and we
The
just planted
ficus.
at the end of Stratham, at the end of Burwich, and at the end of Waverly.
Okay, and then redoing the, pulling the roots and doing the
Yes,
sod.
well, now all the
and everything.
ficuses and that resod work we did.
Okay.
So I just a note, I went back and looked, and then none of them say golf course, and none of them, and then when I looked at the next, obviously, golf course plat, it said G, you know.
Yeah, just mark up the locations with the invoices on a map, and that way I can cross-reference to the master plat.
Okay.
Which I believe I sent you a copy of the other day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
As a lot of you may have noticed, 11 and 12, in between 11 and 12 was cleaned out. We cut down out a lot of the exotics and deadwoods and stuff. We got some more work to do. It does look really good, but we want to clean out the floor a little bit more. You know, there's a lot of trash in there from animals and just wind and probably the storms and whatnot. And just get all that cleaned up. We just went through and sprayed it all out for some weeds and stuff like that.
John?
Yes, ma'am.
I've had more comments that it looks great. The only comment I have, are we going to let it grow up again like it was? I mean, I told the people, no, we're keeping it maintained at that level. We just didn't have the money to do it before.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that went really well. Pretty smooth process. The back lawn, I don't know if you noticed, that's coming together as well. It's sodded, landscaped. It's all looking really well. Jeff, we'll talk about probably next meeting, but sent a proposal for a nice clock, put out there, really, you know, make it look nice. I'm waiting back on a response from the fence people on when they're going to be here. The last I heard was 60 days, which was probably about 30 days ago, so we knew it'd be like mid-April. But I called them last week, but I didn't get a response yet. I'm still waiting a response, an updated response on that. Flowers are being pulled as we speak. Some of our flower beds are going to get larger due to this common ground renovation, especially out front when you come in, the entrance. So they're being pulled right now as we speak. We'll prep the beds, and we'll probably have install and delivery the week of the 10th of April. And
What are we putting in, John?
we're going to go with like a light, so the colors are purple, orange, lilac, and coral. Sun patients.
Okay.
So does that have to be any white, correct?
No
No
white.
No white, right?
No white.
Perfect.
No white. Unless one of them, I think, might have a little tiny white in the center, very little, minuscule, I think, I'm not sure. So, all right. We got new cooler stands for the golf course. We just got backtracked a little bit. We're trying to get those out as soon as possible. They look really nice. They're composite, nice, just really nice. And we're trying to get them out as soon as possible. Hopefully we'll have that out next week. So if you look, Sheridan, Burwich, and Wyndham, they've all been sodded. So now all they really lack on those areas are when we decide to, you know, plant shrubs back where the ficuses were. But I know we're still dealing with the wall issue between Miramar and the HOA and that agreement, so.
But are we waiting until they do the wall?
We're still gonna, when we plan, whatever we decide, which we think inclusive, we're gonna still leave a 10-foot gap from the wall to the back of those, like there was before.
Okay.
So if anybody needed to get in there to maintain the wall, pressure washing, install, you know, but do we want to plant our new plants and then have the risk of it being torn out or damaged?
Yes, see, I don't know whether they're doing it from our side or their side.
Right. Well, probably, I mean,
The last time they did it on their side.
did they?
Yeah.
See,
Okay. Elizabeth, can you just check to see when Miramar is doing that, the wall, and we would request that they do it on their side so we can take care of our side?
I'll check with
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so if we know that they're going to do it on their side, we can go ahead and start planting.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yes, Chris?
Sidetrack, but yeah, I got an email from a resident. We got an email, I guess, from a resident, stating that she had bushes that are going to be planted and that we should put trees back. And I just want to make you guys aware, I think we're pretty set up, we're going to do bushes, but I just wanted to put that, because it was sent to the email, or to the CDD email.
Okay, well, I think the calusas will fill out as a good bush, easy maintained, and I don't think we'll have the root issues that we had with the ficus that were there, and I think we're looking down the road, maybe 10 years, that we won't have the same issue that we had with Ian. So, and John's confident that these will fill out and get taller and easier maintenance, so that's really why we're heading that way, and not with the trees. And actually, it'll give a full cover right down to the ground and not have the tree roots, or the bark, or the, whatever it is.
and there's a good example if anybody wants to look on Pembroke. You know, if you go down Pembroke before you get to the stop sign there, Bellhaven to the left, there's a field, an open field, and there's Calusia around, well, a lift station.
Okay,
And that's how tall they're going to get. Those are probably, pushing 20 feet.
okay.
More than enough height, density,
Dan, so I think that's going to cut down on the noise, too.
very low maintenance, and they're easy to take out and replace. They don't tend to fall over in storms. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why, I don't know if you need to respond to her, Chris, but that's kind of where our game plan is going. We're lower maintenance and,
And like I said, they're really the hottest plant in the last 5 years.
Okay.
They really are. They're going everywhere. And on that note, I gave all the board members two different proposals. Let's start with the first one. The total is $45,000. That is for out here to remove all these ficuses along this roadway. And there's some trees that also need to be taken out that have just sprouted up naturally over time on the back side of them, and then replace them with 7-gallon calusias, which are about 3 to 4 feet in height, planted. And there's 465 of them. We already have irrigation installed there, so we won't be needing any irrigation. This is just tearing those out and replacing them.
and that's part of the common ground landscaping. We want to clean all that up. because
Yes.
We're going to be doing that along there, and then, John's got another proposal along the side here, but we're doing it, we want to get everything cleaned up and looking right. Since we have the approval to do this, we'd like to go ahead and do it. Now, Juniper, we did speak with them. They, at this point in time, working with what they're doing for us inside the community, did not really have the availability to do that. That's why we've gone to Dorman to talk to them.
Yeah. Juniper said that they can't do it right now. They'd be happy to help find another contractor.
Right.
And they were just one of the others that we were going to use to, compare the two bids. Have two bids compared. So yeah, they're just not interested at the time or right now. So yeah, this is the initial bid for that. So while I was waiting on this, Eileen and I had spoken about outside leaving the community, all those dead ficuses, and then that wall that is parallel with the corkscrew. Irrigating that, putting in new plants and whatnot. So that's what the other proposal is. That's a little bit more work. We have to add irrigation because the irrigation was removed when Lee County, when they came in, Village of Estero started working on that and pulled all that stuff out. So we're gonna have to add irrigation for these new plants on this proposal. And that's all in here. Now, if you look on the proposal, it's $73,800 to do that, to remove all the ficus and plant Collusia in its place with new irrigation. These are for 25-gallon Collusia, and they sit at about 5 feet installed. I wrote down here for 45 gallons, which sit at 7 to 8 feet installed, would be basically double the price of what's on there. So it'd be like another $55,000.
Okay.
And the reason I put that on there is because thinking of the people that lived on Wyndham, they're gonna want an 8-foot fence, right? A wall. You know, so 6 to 8 feet minimum is and that's why I put those on there, just for thought, food for thought.
Okay, so what I'll...
And also, I wanted you to think about this. If we were to do, let's say, the 45 gallons out front, it would look pretty silly if we went with 25 gallons along the side.
Right.
Just another food for thought.
Okay, well, I will say that 18 months ago, when Chuck and Tony and I were on the phone with the county after they cut the trees down, it was a phone call, I did say to them that you cut our trees down, you need to partner with us in replacing them. You ruined our irrigation because they dug it up. So they did at that point in time say that when they got to doing the front, that they would partner with us. And I said to them, I don't want 6 flats of marigolds, I want trees, I want things to cover this. So what I would suggest at this point, I would like to...
Ralph's there.
Oh, yeah, Ralph. I would like to do the ficus all along here. I would like to try to start the side of Weymouth around the pond. I really need to work with the county about, I would not at this point do anything in the front until I get confirmation from the county, just what they're going to do, you know, how much they're going to give us, and, you know, to show them this is what we want. We want 8-foot Collusias because you cut down huge trees.
Yeah.
And that's part of the village, because the village will be doing stuff by the sidewalk. The county has to replace stuff, and then we will. So my suggestion would be to look at doing along this road and along the pond, and leaving Corkscrew until I can get confirmation from the county.
When you say along, you mean like the left side leaving?
Yeah, leave the left side leaving, because I think that will cut down some of the noise and clean up some of that for the people over there, because it just, you know, I don't want to wait until the county's done, because who knows when that's going to be.
Yeah, they're laying sod, they're prepping some of the areas, it looks like they're starting to lay some hay and stuff out front.
Okay.
But yeah, they still got
They got a lot to do.
Yeah.
But they did commit to repairing our irrigation that they destroyed, and they did commit to helping with the replantings. So we'll do that.
And then also, I looked at that fence line. That fence, when you leave, can come out. There's no security feature to it. We were looking at that, and, you know, in light of replacing all this stuff, what it would take, and equipment and stuff in there. And after looking at it, the linear that's that runs along, basically north to south there when you leave, we would leave the sections at the end of the pond and at the beginning at the gate. They go all the way across over the pond, lake bank down into the water. But that other section, it doesn't serve a purpose as far as security or anything like that. It's kind of just a real pain. You know, we got to unlock it to get equipment in there to mow. I think it looked nicer, you know, just look nicer. So that can be removed without, you know, taking any kind of security feature away from the neighborhood or anything like that. So it's just another food for thought if we did that, to maybe remove that fence line.
I mean, regardless of what we decide here, this is all funded within the bond, correct?
This is all the common ground funded within the bond,
Make
yes.
sure if I knew that.
So,
Yeah, both these is all bond work.
so I would like to, this first one, the 45 is along the maintenance fence. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask why we're replacing those? Maybe I missed something here.
The ficus this here?
Yeah.
There's just like those out there, they're dead. A lot of them here have like been attacked by thrips and they're just basically sticks. There's not a lot to them and outdated, old,
And it's hard to maintain them.
and it's very hard to maintain. Yeah, gotta get on top and hedge them up.
Just save a fortune all the time.
So, and, you know, and Phil, if we're doing the community, I want to do it all. You know, I don't want to come back in 2 years and say, oh gee, we should have done that. So, you know, I'm really looking to get the whole thing done and get it done right. And have consistency. We're going to do Calusas here, we're doing Royals and Bottle Palms, and I want it to look, you know, cohesive, and everything is really, it matches. So,
Does that 45 include all down this road and then also in front of the maintenance shed?
No, that's just down this road from start to finish.
The 27, 27 minutes. The second page.
So
is that that?
what we had talked about, Eileen and I, in front of the maintenance shed, actually would just be an install. So, I mean, you could go off of this right here, I could do a count. It's planting the Calusia along at the base of that hill, and then leaving it open behind, because they'll fill up, and and then it'll just make a nice wall. 'Cause the issue we had with that hill after Irma was none of my stump guys, any stump grinder guy I brought in here could not get up the hill and grind those. Because remember, there's big, huge ficus trees on top of the hill. Well, when they got cut down, the amount of the root systems was massive. Well, they couldn't get on that incline and clean all of that out. So we had to try to plant flowers and seed in between it and put little pockets of dirt and fill stuff in and and it just never.
I recall a couple of years ago, you had to trim those down because there was some kind of communication issue.
Yes, they were interfering with our communication, the irrigation from the computer to the golf course controllers at night. And then also community